Welcome to the Awaken on Purpose podcast, where each week I share insight, inspiration, and advice for quantum leaping into new levels of expansion in your purpose and mission as a visionary leader and wayshower. You'll also hear from other new paradigm leaders who share their inspirational stories and wisdom. If you're passionate about embodying your highest destiny and leading others through this great awakening into the next golden age, this show is for you. Hey everyone, it's my pleasure to welcome as a guest to the show today, Serena Curran. She is a spiritual business mentor, teacher, healer, and Akashic Record detective, working with spiritual entrepreneurs, visionaries, and change makers. She is also the creator of Soul Wealth Map and the Business Accelerator program. Welcome, Serena. I'm excited to have you.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I'm excited to be here too. So nice to be with you.
Yes, we're going to have an amazing conversation today. And I'd love for you to share with us, what inspired you to get into this work, especially with the Akashic Records, because I know that, that really calls to certain people. So.
Yeah, well, I've been doing healing work for over 25 years and I travel all over the place doing that. And I would land in new countries and create a new life, a new business in a few days. And I got to a point where things weren't flowing. And I was like, what happened here? And the Akashic Records have been around me for a long time. And one day was listening to someone on the radio and I heard them talking about it. And I went, oh, that's it. I need to work with my Akashic Records. And so I had a clearing of my Akashic Records in a very specific way. And I could feel all the energy lifting off of me and my whole face changed as it happened. So it was very, very powerful. And after that, I decided to really get involved with the Akashic Records more deeply and did a lot of training and a lot of other things so that I could access the Akashic Records in a specific way. And as I was doing that work, I discovered that my soul specialization is a restoration master, which is someone who works with the blueprints and knows how to translate the blueprints into physical reality. So we always get where we need to go, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And your example of, the power of that healing was so perfect because, transformation or change, I say transformation and it implies change, but it's really more of like a remembrance of the essence of who we really are. The example you provided was just perfect for how powerful and quickly we can actually experience those shifts.
Yes, well, there was a lot of assistance there. When I read the Akashic Records, I ask very, very specific questions and I get specific information back. And that was where this soul specialization came from. Mm-hmm. And it does, and I also find people's soul gifts and a lot of other qualities about their soul and how they best manifest. This is all part of the Soul Wealth Map. And so they get the specific information. It makes it much easier for them to be able to align with their soul and to be able to actually make decisions, because I also give them specific information on how to use those gifts in business and what kinds of structures and models and what kinds of clients to work with and so on, that all comes from their soul. So when they align with their soul, it's like life flows and, in abundance. And that's one part of the work I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your work for so many reasons, but really, I believe that, the time that we're living in right now, it's not, and moving forward for our evolution, it's not just a nice to have to forge a deeper connection with your soul's guidance. It's becoming an absolute necessity because we are moving forward in uncharted territory somewhat. So, and so many of us have really been conditioned to live in an opposite manner.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that really the new paradigm of doing business is doing business based on your soul. So I also have a program in which I teach people really what we're doing in this moment is by what the beliefs that we hold, the feelings that we carry. And I don't mean, let me just finish, the thoughts and the actions we take. We are actually in this moment writing in our records. And as we're writing in our records, we are creating our future. So being in the present moment, which is where a lot of people are not there, is extremely important in order to be able to write abundance into your records, or to write into your records the life that you desire to have. And of course, there are many facets to that. So I just want to touch on the emotional one, if that's okay with you. And that,
Yeah, definitely.
that, there's a lot of things taught in the manifesting arena about, I call it bypassing your emotions, about, let's just put a little Band-Aid over it. You're feeling bad. Well, like, shift your energy and do something that will make you feel good. And yes, it's certainly important for you to be putting out positive energies. But before you do that, you really need to process those difficult or more lower vibration, shall we say, emotions, so that they can flow and move and leave your field, so that they're not still creating. Because if you just put a Band-Aid over them, they are still creating and they're part of your frequency. So that's one of the tools that you need to have, is that ability to process emotions in order to be able to write in your records what you really want to write in there.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I also believe that to be true. Widely throughout the personal development industry, there are so many teachings that only provide, the surface level of things, or only provide one step. And there really is often, a deeper approach. It brings to mind this saying that I say sometimes, which is like, you can't put a Band-Aid on something that needs surgery, like you were saying, I think something about the happy face. And then people just get even more frustrated because they wonder, they think they're putting forth this effort, and then wonder why it feels like they're spinning their wheels.
Yes, that, and then the whole idea of not having any negative thoughts. We have like 20, 30,000 thoughts running through our head all the time.
It's part of being human.
You could drive yourself insane trying to, not have a negative thought. That really isn't the truth of the matter. What it really matters is, it's not those thoughts that run through your mind, or like you get in a traffic jam and you get mad for a minute or something. It's not these that create. It's the more, it's the thoughts that are repetitive. So that it's really beliefs that actually create. It's not really these random thoughts that come and go. And so there's so many things that are taught in the manifesting arena that are not helpful. It's taught that everyone can do visualization and do a vision board, and that will help them manifest. And for some people, this is not helpful at all. It does nothing. And so that's one of the qualities that I look at when I look at the 7 soul-based keys for manifesting, which is, what is that? What is your way of going about doing that? And so, and also there's this, in some of the things that are being taught, is it's only gives little pieces here and there and there. And it leaves people always like, trying to follow that person and keep trying to, they're always in the question, like, where is it? It's like a mystery, trying to find it. And, that's just not appropriate also.
Yeah, you're just speaking my language so much, because it's true. Everybody is unique, and it's not a cookie cutter approach. And I just find it so fascinating that despite, being in the spiritual arena or within the spiritual community, that some of these teachings conform to the very society that we, the practices, right, and the ways of living that haven't served us.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's just because it's like a lot of other things, some things just get into the mass consciousness and they get repeated and repeated and repeated.
Yeah.
And people just take them as for granted as being true, and they're not. And so they get a lot of frustration. And I think, we could see that with The Secret, which really did a lot of it introduced a lot of people to the idea of manifesting, and it did a lot of disservice for people who got the idea that you didn't have to take any action in order to manifest, that's a huge piece to leave out, by the way. I had someone one day say to me that she wanted $1 million on a Friday afternoon. And I said, like, it was Tuesday, and she wanted $1 million by Friday. And I said, well, how do you think that's going to happen? And she said, well, don't rain on my parade. I put that out there. I'm like, well, no, that doesn't even, it has to be in the realm of possibility. And there has to be some kind of steps or action that you can take. Doesn't mean that the action or the steps you take are actually logical or orderly, or that you can predict what they are, but there are steps that need to be taken in order to get to your intention, to fulfilling your intention.
Yeah, you have to take action, and it makes so much sense, when you think about how our bodies and us, we are we're the center of the mental and spiritual and physical, so it would make sense that we would have to take physical action in order to manifest whatever it is we desire, right? But
yeah, well, because manifestations are physical, aren't they? And so the whole process is taking something that's intangible, that's is on an etheric level, and actually bringing it down through the mental, emotional, and bringing it down into the physical.
Yeah,
that's why sometimes it's important to write out what you're doing, or to write out what it is you want to create in your life, because this is putting it into the physical. And that's what the point of manifestation is to get into the physical.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to share more with us about wealth by soul design.
Right. Well, this is really, again, going back to part of the work I do. I also do this business accelerator where I help people to get their business. My mission here really is to help spiritual entrepreneurs and change makers and visionaries to get their work out into the world, because we need everybody on board. We need everybody out there doing what they need to do. So that's really my mission here. And the Wealth by Soul Design is really about the fact that in order to the way that wealth comes to you is by aligning with your soul, or by embodying your soul, actually embodying it. So there's also this idea that, there's a lot of talk about ascending and going up and out of it. No. We're not here to ascend. We're here to bring our souls down to descend them into our bodies. And the more that we do this, and the more that we learn how to listen and interact and have a relationship with our soul, the more guidance we have, the more paths that open before us as we're writing our what it is our future into our soul. We're receiving back the guidance on how to follow that, and that's how it's Wealth by Soul Design.
I believe that too. I think, just to kind of put out there, I think ascension in of itself is used in many different contexts.
Probably
in terms of what it means. Like when I think of ascension, I think of learning, evolving, which is part of what our souls are here to do too. But yes, I believe what you're saying as well. That's like part of the whole purpose.
It's to bring the soul down into the body. And so one of the most powerful things that I do when I'm doing a reading someone's soul wealth map is that not only do I find all the gifts that they have, but as the soul has traveled, this vehicle that it was in has made decisions that were not in alignment with its highest good. And as a consequence, it creates interferences that don't allow the full expression of the soul's gifts. And really our purpose here, why we're here, this vehicle is holding a soul that wants to be expressed. That's our purpose. However, we may have that happen. That's really the bottom line, is that we're here to express our soul. So these interferences are like the soul is this beautiful diamond, and it has gauze or things around it that don't allow it to really shine through. And removing those interferences, I've had clients double their income overnight. I've had them get their biggest sale. I mean, there's just an incredible list of effects of removing those interferences. So that's another piece of this powerful work that we do with working with the soul.
So amazing. Your work is so amazing. What advice would you, we were chatting, I think a little bit earlier, just about the times that we're living in, and what would be your advice for someone to just, move forward and evolve on their path with the most ease and grace, through this?
Well, as I said, I think that I take people through a process where we learn about, creating safety is one of the first things you have to do. You have to feel safe in order to be able to do anything, and create boundaries, to learn how to use your, how to manage your emotions, how to work with your emotions, how to receive and listen to your intuition, and making a conscious connection with your soul and asking for soul guidance, and learning how to go about asking that, and writing stories that are empowering for your life, and being able to take away the look and see what are the beliefs and things that prevent you from doing that, and rewriting the story, so that, you know, if you have a certain belief or you think that something's a certain way, rewrite the story so that it supports you instead of disempowers you. So for me, and I was actually going to do a video today about, you know, because I talk about writing the story, and I said, well, if we want to write the story of our culture, of our what's happening in our world and what our planet will be in the future, one of the easy ways of doing that is, where do you spend your money? And is that in alignment with your values? So for example, I'm going to pick on Starbucks because I just saw an article about them. It said that their profits increased 20%, but they were going to raise the prices 30%. And they were going to give an extra $40 million to their CEO. Now, do you want to support that? I don't want to support that, so I don't go to Starbucks. So that kind of looking around and saying, well, what do I want to support and what do I not want to support, and where am I going to spend my even my dollars of going to the grocery store? What is it? Or if I'm going to buy a platform for my business, what are the values of the company behind that?
Yes.
And are they inclusive? And, you know, do I resonate with the way that they present themselves? And if not, they don't get my money. That's how we start. That's another way, besides working with ourselves, which is extremely important. We also have this opportunity about how do we use our resources?
Right. Living in congruency, right? In everything that we do. So it could be, you know, where we're buying our coffee, where we're shopping for groceries, who we're doing business with. Absolutely. So glad that you brought that up. That's so important. Serena, just in closing, you know, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward? Just anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I felt that I think what I just said about the, well, I think that also, you know, for people that are visionaries and sometimes have a really hard time grounding their vision, and they need to learn to have a little bit more structure. And so that's one of the things that I help people with, is having a little more structure, because people tend to think that structure is limiting. You know, freedom is like one of my big values. I've lived a free lifestyle, and I like freedom, and I think my clients really like freedom. But sometimes we feel like structure limits us. But actually, what structure does is it actually creates a trellis on which we can grow. So this idea that there's a conflict between structure and freedom is pretty common. And so I'd say that would be one thing that I would also point out as something to look at and to think about. Now, not that you have to have a structure that limits you. You can have a structure that has flexibility in it, but to have some kind of a structure for your business that will allow you to actually help it to grow.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. And I'm so glad you brought up that point, because a lot of people do. They view structure as this something that feels confining, and it can really aid in you know, living the free lifestyle that we desire. I value freedom a lot too.
Yeah.
For sure.
So well, I was a gypsy for a lot of years and traveled all over the place, living by the seat of my pants. So, you know, for me, freedom is huge. And I know that it is for many people. And there are a lot of people who want to have that. I like to say I lived a laptop lifestyle before there were laptops. And I think a lot of people aspire to having that kind of freedom. A lot of the change makers and the people who are here to make a big difference in the world want that freedom. And yet they still need that structure in order to really make the changes in the world that they want to make. And it is difficult for some visionaries and for some of these change makers to be able to actually do that, to bring that structure. So I just invite them to really think about it in a different way.
Absolutely. And Serena, you also had a special gift for those who feel called to connect with you, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I have 3 spots that I've opened up for your guests to have a conversation with me. It's an opportunity for us for you to talk about your business, and for me to learn a little bit about your challenges and do a little diagnosis and give you some some possible solutions for your challenges. And it's just a 30-minute call, and you can book your call with me by using a bit.ly link, and it's bit.ly/wealthy soul, all lower cap letters. And I'd love to spend some time with you and get to know you and see what we can do to help you get your business forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll be sure to include that information in the show notes as well. And is there anywhere else, if someone's feeling guided to connect with you, where it would be easiest for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook as my Serena Curran 333. I'm also on YouTube as Serena Curran International. And I'm doing now on Facebook on a daily basis, I'm doing messages from the Akashic Records. So you can go on there. I do have a group, but I'm not really active in it. It just is, if you join that group, I think it's Rise Up is the title on it, but you get more notifications. But you can come on and friend me on Facebook, and like I said, I'm doing daily messages on there, and come on and see what the Akashic Record keepers have to say about what's up for the day.
So wonderful. Serena, thank you so much for coming on as a guest today, and just thank you for the work that you're doing and all of your light.
Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer. It was lovely to be here, and I'm so delighted to have a chance to connect with your audience. And I certainly hope there's a value here, and I'm always happy to hear from people and get some comments back too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Awaken on Purpose podcast. Please visit me and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or at awakenonpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can embody new levels of expansion in your purpose and mission as a visionary leader and way shower, visit me at jenniferspore.com.